Hello, game friends. My name is GameFriend, and this video is going to be the start of a series where I do a little self-retrospective / analysis of the games that I played in the weekly tournament series, TANC, put on by the one and only Attico, link to his channel in the description. My goal for this series is for me to learn from my mistakes, get better at the game, and, while I'm at it, share those learnings in the hopes that you guys may benefit as well. For this first episode in particular, I also want to shed some light on the whole process of playing in these tournaments for those who have not yet experienced it, so I'll very quickly go over that. You're first going to register at start.gg. You'll most likely be able to find the link on Discord, but if you can't, you can always type in TANC and then figure out which number we're on. The most recent was 13. You can sign up for either the Europe, Middle East, or Africa regions, or the Americas region. Doesn't really matter which. You don't have to live in the region to participate. The host of the game just has to be in the specified region. As you can see, it starts off with the Swiss stage and then goes into the top 8 when tournament time rolls around at 2 p.m. In this instance, it'll be about 2 hours, roughly. You'll play 5 best of ones against random people for points in order to narrow things down to that top 8. For every round in the Swiss stage, you and your opponent will pick a map via a simple pick-ban system. It'll look something like this. If you're the host, you get to ban a map, the other person gets to ban 2, and it goes back to you and you ban another map. And then, that in this case, the 5th map is all that's left, and that's the map that's picked. As for which faction to play, both players must agree. Either that, you only get to pick your own faction. For tank number 12, you can see all the round 1 matches. You can see here that I lost to MSRM in the first round. And in the second round, because there was an odd number of players, I got a bye, which gives me half a point. And then I won against Fauna. And then I lost to a fucking elf. And then I won against Warm Milk, which puts me at a Swiss score of 2.5, which is just enough to get me into the top 8. This is what the top 8 bracket looked like. Each of these matches are best of 3s, except for the final match, which is a best of 5. So, my first opponent was Mixu, and the first map for these best of 3s is always Broken Crown. There's another set of picks and bans for best of 3s, and the loser always gets to play their map whenever they lose a map. Yeah. Throughout the set, I pretty much do the same build every game. I make 3 collection arrays and 4 bastions, and I mass Argents. That's about the number of arrays you need to support 4 bastions worth of Argents. It's pretty flexible. You can skip an Argent or 2 to make a prism or another collection array, and that lets you afford more forward structures like link nodes and power banks. But yeah, anyways, right off the bat, I send my arc ship to start clearing this creep camp here. At the same time, I'm producing a morph core to also capture this creep camp. And then it'll become my 3rd collection array over at the 9 o'clock position over here on the left. Something to note is that arc ships cannot land or take off while producing, so typically you want to create the morph core while on the move, and on most maps you'll have time to produce it before getting to the creep camp or the luminite camp. However, on Broken Crown, the map's so small that I think it's more important to get the mining up first over getting additional flight time towards your opponent. I'm going to go ahead and speed it up. You can see here Mixu's clearing the Ethereum camp. Yeah. I'm moving my arc ship across the map here. This is going to lead me to my first takeaway for this game, which is to either be more sneaky or more conservative with bastions. Either one. A couple things you can do is place it on the high ground here. I, for some reason, decided to place it in the middle of the map where Mixu immediately finds it. I think this is valid to place it in the middle of the map, but I have to land the arc ship with it. So that's like that's an option if I want to place it in the middle of the map, but I end up placing it on the high ground over there, as you'll see in a second. Yeah, and then another alternative is also place the Bastion at home until you get Argents to actually be able to defend your bases. But yeah, that's my first takeaway from this game. You can see I place it on the high ground here. I have Bastions to also defend. I also decide to land my Arc ship to defend it, just in case Mixu comes back with this little army. I'm going to speed it up again. The second takeaway that I'm going to have for this game is to start the I always like to make a fourth morph core, or I guess third morph core, since you start with one collection array. But make another morph core so you can spot the high ground. I end up using a scan here so I could see the high ground, but my morph core is a little bit delayed, and so it's really important for high ground vision, of course, but it's also good for clearing these trees over here on the right to open up another attack path. You can see that because I don't have high ground vision, I lost it from the scan. It actually causes me not being able to get that repair post, which I think ended up not being a huge deal, but it was kind of unfortunate. Yeah, and this is going to lead us to my third takeaway for the game, which is going to be, it kind of overlaps with the first takeaway in protecting your bastions, but essentially, I'm a little bit early, but essentially Mixu takes his army over here and starts killing my two bastions that I placed on the high ground. And I decide, for some reason, in the heat of the moment, I decide to push his base and take his natural. In hindsight, I don't think this is the correct decision because I'm already kind of denying mining just by being here. So trading my two bastions for his natural, I don't think was the right call, because it cuts my production in half, right? Remember, I was making 4 bastions. Now, he killed 2. Now I have 2. But yeah. Anyways, my thought process here is I want to stop hedgehog production because those are the things that will really stop this Argent aggression. Fortunately, I'm not able to do that. Which is actually going to bring me to my fourth takeaway, which is to keep your arc ship near your army. I was too focused on pushing up the ramp that I didn't bring my arc ship anywhere near. Ideally, I think I'd want to have it here so it kind of helps with the contain. At this point, the game is probably over because I've lost the critical mass required. The critical mass of Argents required to actually win this game, especially with the Atlas being out. The Atlas would just destroy my Argents, even if I had a critical mass of them. Another takeaway, fifth takeaway, is I would say to make more forward power banks. They only cost 50 Luminite, and without energy, your Argents are doing half the damage that they would otherwise. I think you could see in that previous fight that all my Argents were out of energy. When I pushed up that ramp to try to kill the mech bay, they were all out of energy. So yeah, at this point the game's over. I'm gonna speed it up, and eventually I GG and I tap out, because there's just no way for me to deal with the Atlas with just Argents. And I GG. Yeah. So game 2 is on Boneyard. Nothing really too new on this map. I'm actually going to keep the speed up. The one thing that I will note is that I didn't do it this game, but something that I noticed throughout the beta and stole and copied from other players is to use Sovereign's Watch on this collection array here, and it's able to reach these deer, and that'll get you 60 Luminite, 30 Luminite each deer. And it's essentially just trading that ability for 60 Luminite because at this point in the game, Vanguard can't really do anything. There's no real reason to keep Sovereign's Watch around. That story's a little bit different against Infernal, because if they go Iron Vault first, at least in the Frigate playtest, of course, they'll have enough fiends to just win the game right off the bat. So, you know, up to you whether you want to take that risk against Infernals. Another thing to note about this map is that there are island bases over here on the middle of the map, and also over here. Oh, I also forgot. Like I was mentioning on Broken Crown, I made the Morph Core on the way to the Lumini camp. It finishes up right about here is where it finishes up. But my point about the island bases, right, is that the island bases are safer because, you know, all the melee units can't reach them. However, I always go for this like 9 o'clock base here just because it's a little bit closer and gets me money a little bit faster. And that's a risk that I'm willing to take. But yeah. So I make my third array there, pick up my arc ship and start heading over, making a beeline to the enemy base. See, Mixu's collecting all his units and moving them over to pressure my main base, which is annoying. But if you didn't already know about Celestials, they can lift off their arrays, which I think I'm going to speed it up. That's what I do. Yeah, so I end up lifting off this array. I'm able to take a little bit of damage. It's more important to get that money, but eventually I just plop it back down and just start making money, even though he's left, or especially because he's left. Something to note here is that I, make a little wall off, and I place a link node in this little crevice here, so that way none of his melee units can reach, and it will be defended eventually. So that's the nice thing about Boneyard, is that this natural is pretty easy to defend. Yeah, and I'm just now heading across with my Argent production. Here it was really greedy of me to have my arc ship just out by itself. Mixu could have easily used his bobs to just sit under the arc ship, and if they repair each other, they last so long. They're so beefy. But I was lucky enough to land my arc ship, and now my Argents are on the way. Yeah. So my main goal here at this point is to stop Hedgehog production, because that's what's going to stop this Argent aggression. I really don't want to be wasting my shots on Bobs, because again, Bobs are so beefy, and I'm trying to close out the game and not really do economic damage at this point. So I get that snipe on one of the hedgehogs. The arc ship is working on killing the mech bay, and again with that 5th takeaway, I wish I'd placed some power banks. You can see here my Argents are all just completely out of energy, but it doesn't really matter too much in this particular game, just because I end up killing all the hedgehogs. Now that they're Bob overcharged, they're like 10 times as beefy. They're not actually 10 times as beefy, but they're essentially, the Bobs are essentially unkillable. And so, yeah, at this point it's just trying to, I will speed it up, it's just trying to kill the hedgehog. And I actually get a little scared. I pick up my arc ship because the Bobs were killing it. But yeah. And then Mixu taps out of that game. GG. Now we're on Isle of Dread. Again, same map. something that I will say that I didn't do in this game, but I was doing towards the end of the phase, is to place a power bank on this speed camp here, and use a Sovereign's Watch to clear that speed camp. I forget exactly how much money you'll get from that. I think it's like 70 Luminite or something. But it's a little boost, and you're not doing much else with Sovereign's Watch at this point. Yeah, again, I'm making the Morph Core on the way to the Luminite camp. I'm going to speed it up because there's not much different in this game. I am trying to wall off this area. It's a little bit harder to wall off on this map. But yeah. Yeah, a little bit of unideal placement. I could have placed my bastions, in a way that is actually walling off that little corner. I figured that out towards the end of, closer towards the end of the beta phase, at some point. Something that I want to note about this game in particular is that, in this game in particular, on Isle of Dread, I like to take the health camp. I guess I'll speed it up. I thought I was at the health camp part, but yeah, so on the here at the health camp, I like to place 2 bastions there, and that kind of makes it a stronghold, with the intent of, I can always pull back archons there to get healed, and it's also hard to clear those bastions simply because of the health camp that's there. You might be thinking, well, if they just run onto the health camp, when they also get the healing, it's surrounded by trees, you can see here, and it's pretty easy eventually to just block out any units trying to get in there. So, yeah, units really get stuck on the trees. Yeah, I'm gonna speed it up again because that's pretty much all the info, all the little tidbits of knowledge that I wanted to share from this game. We're gonna watch it play out. Yeah. I'm really gonna reiterate my 4th takeaway, which is to keep your archship with the army. I'm kind of doing it here, but for some reason I get really egregiously greedy at this point right here, and I fly it straight towards his second base, and I don't land it, and I end up not landing it because it's so easy for Mixu to just block it and stop it. You can see he sends 2 bobs to just block it, and I don't have enough archons to actually fight this army. I really need that archship damage output. So, I'm not sure if I would have won this game even with the archship. It's possible that, these archons just aren't good enough in that scenario on this map with such a long distance, but it definitely would have helped a lot to have the archship there. And with that, I am unfortunately knocked out of the tournament in a 1-2 loss against Mixu. Mixu goes on to defeat a fucking elf and also a bino, and wins tank number 12. That's it for this video. If you have any additional tips or even disagree with the thoughts that I've shared here, feel free to comment below. I'll also be making videos for tank 13 and 11, which will focus on Celestials versus Infernal and Celestial versus Celestial respectively. So if that at all piques your interest, you know what to do. Thank you for watching.